Hello Nordangia students, welcome to this series of lessons on programming using Visual Basic. In this first tutorial we're going to look at Hello World, which is always the first program any newbie programmers do. And so we're going to explore the Visual Studio interface in creating a form with a button that performs an action. So let's have a look at Visual Studio. And Visual Studio is basically an interface for doing some programming in. It isn't a programming language, it's just the interface. It's just the software to allow us to do the programming. And when we load Visual Studio 2022, on the left, it shows us a list of all the different projects we've already done before, and we can then select and we can open them. On the right, we can create a new project, which is what I'm going to do. We then come to this and we then need to select the programming language, and obviously being the Visual Studio is just the interface, it's just the software allowing you to do that programming. You can use it in different types with different types of languages, from Python, JavaScript, C, and Visual Basic. And you have to then download and install the actual add-on that allows you to do that. We're going to use Visual Basic, and I am going to use a Windows Forms app. So I'm going to select this icon here and then go next. Then I'm going to create a name. So I'm going to say My First App 1. Make sure you've saved it in your documents. Okay. And I've got one called Visual Basic already. And I'll set that folder. And I'll go next and create. And now it will set up the environment for us to then do some coding. And once it opens, you will see a screen like this. And on the left, there is an icon that says Toolbox. And if I click on this, I can pin this to the screen, because this allows me then to set controls that can be added to the menu. At the moment, it's just loading, so we just need to give it a moment. Here we go. And so now my toolbox has appeared with all the different controls on here. If I click on this pin, it will hide at the side. If I select it and pin to it, it will add it to the side. And it means it's quicker for me to then add different objects to my window, which is in the center. On the right, this is the structure of where things are saved. And down in the bottom corner is your properties, where you could change the font type, the font size, the name, the colors, etc. So let's just go to the window and make this smaller, and we'll change the form name. So when you put a name of a form, you always start FRM, short for form, and I will call this Hello World. And then down in the text, I'll go text Hello World. Okay? And we've got this here. Then we'll go to button, and I'll drag the button to the screen, and we'll change the text to click here, exclamation mark. And if I go up to the name, I can put BTN, which is short for button, and I can say click here. And if I click on the actual form itself, I could go to background color or back color, and I can then choose certain colors on here. So background color, I can then choose custom, and then I can change a color for the background. I can make this bigger if I want, like so. I can change the size of my form to make it smaller. I've got that there. I can make the font size bigger, so I can go to, let's have a look. We've got font. I could change the font here. I could choose a font. So if I want Arial, for example, and I can change the size, I can make it bold, okay, like so. And then, so that's my window created. That's what it looks like. That's the user interface side. Now, but if I run that, nothing is going to happen. If I press play, it should appear on the screen as a window, but nothing will happen. Okay? So now I need to double click on click here, and I need to add some code. And so the first I'm going to use is just message box. So I've typed MES-MSG, and it's given me a drop down of different things I can use. So I'm going to use this one here. Open brackets, and it's closed it for me. Open speech marks, and it's again closed, and I'll put hello world. And then I can go play, and what should happen it should load up. So when I ran this, I got an error. I'm going to say no here, and it tells me form 1 is not declared. It may be inaccessible due to a protection level. So what does this mean? Well, let's just, if I click on this, if I double click there, it then takes me to a new window here, and it's showing on line 34, this is where it is. It's showing me on line 44 there's an error, and you can see that it's underlined with a red line here. If you do have this issue, then what it's saying is the main form is equals to this. It's basically saying the main form should be called form 1. Well, our main form, if we go back to the code, is called FRM Hello World. So I need to just copy this, and I just take this and I replace it to FORM. Replace, so I've got the correct name of the main form. Save, go back to our form, and this time I run it, and then what should happen is the window appears. It's got click here, so I click here, and then straight away a message box appears saying hello world. We now see that our code works, and that is the first program that any programmer, any newbie programmer will do to see if their program works, to see that everything has been set up correctly. And we know it works, so obviously everything is working. So, and when you've done that, make sure you close the window and it goes back to normal. Thank you very much for watching, Nord Angus students. I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.